A warm welcome back to the Forensics Detailing channel. So in today's video we're going to do a test to try and answer which type of polisher leaves the highest gloss and least haze. Is it the rotary polisher or is it the dual action polisher? Okay, so this is all triggered by someone in the comments saying about DIY detail, saying that the rotary finishes out better than the dual action. I might be paraphrasing here, I probably am, but it is along those lines that this has higher gloss and less haze than the dual action polisher. Now for me, there's 1,000,001 variables on this. You know, there really is 1,000,001 variables, and the biggest variable won't be the machine, it will be the type of pad you're using and the compound, you know, or polish you're using. And in my opinion, if you're using a reasonably soft, medium to finishing pad, you know, and a non-aggressive modern compound, it shouldn't really make much difference. If you're using a polish that's designed to finish, then from my experience, most of those will finish properly on a dual action polisher with little or no haze. Okay, with little or no haze. Have I seen haze before when finishing out with dual action polishers? Yes, it can happen, but I've also seen it with rotaries as well. What I will say is rotaries are more prone to leaving machine marring for me. Yes, you can mitigate that with how you use them and all that sort of stuff, but just more prone to it perhaps. So historically, people associate cutting with rotary and finishing off with the dual action polisher. But DIY detail like to do it the other way around. Another thing that is relevant is the amount of throw on your dual action polisher. So I think this is an 8mm throw. You can get a 15mm throw one or 21mm throw. I would imagine that other variables are the throw type as well. The longer the throw, you might get more cut, but the disadvantage of that cut is it might not finish out as well. And the more I think about this as well, the more perhaps there might be something in this. Because if you think about it very simply, there might be something in this, as in Yvan might be right. He won't be basing this on nothing. So I know there'll be something behind this. So if you think about a particle of abrasives and you put your pad on top of that abrasive and it's a rotary machine, that abrasive spins around in a circle like that and it just carries on spinning, and that's the line or the trajectory of your piece of abrasive, okay? And as you move the polisher, of course, it's going like this. So you're getting that when you move a rotary over the surface. Now it's much more complicated with a dual action polisher, because effectively, if that's your particle, and I wish I had a spare pad here, but if we put that pad on top of it, the way that that pad works is that pad is mounted in this offset, off-center bearing here. So your plate will be there. And it's mounted there, and that axle is driven, but the bearing is free spinning. So what really happens is you get this weird movement, and the rotation speed of the plate isn't constant when you're moving around a car panel, and you put pressures varying and the contours are varying. So you get acceleration and deceleration of the plate speed, and that creates a very strange movement. If the plate ever stalls, so it stops spinning, what you get is just the oscillation there. So you get this little kind of loop like that. And then as soon as the plate starts moving again, the loop will kind of go, whoa, and then it will go off again. And it goes off in this kind of weird, like, wow, 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 because it's not spinning constantly. And the slower it gets, the more like looping you get, to the point where it will just start looping like that. So you can get a weird trajectory with the dual action polisher. Now, of course, we're just looking at one abrasive particle there, one there going around. You've got a whole abrasive slurry on your pad doing the same thing. So you imagine there's 1,000,000 abrasive particles, or not 1,000,000, but we could do dots all the way down there, all being dragged over the paintwork. And then 1,000,000 here, all being dragged in different directions. So there's different dynamics at play, okay? Anyway, what we've done here is I've cut this pad, I've cut this panel with DA coarse and blue wool. So, and I've cut it without really working it to the point where it starts to refine down. So if we turn on our goniometer. So this is the device that we can use to measure log haze, which is a unit of haze, and what's going on there? And gloss, 20-degree gloss. We do have some more accurate or different types of readings, but they're not relevant. So really in this test, we're interested in 20-degree gloss, which is high gloss, and log haze, okay? 0 log haze is brilliant. 100 log haze would be terrible. That would be like near, I don't know if there's a hard cap, but that would be near your cap, you know. And gloss, 0 is terrible. There's no high cap again, but as you get up to 100, you'll start finding it's car paintwork, you can't get it more glossy than that. Now, we're going to have inconsistency here on this pre-panel because of the way we've cut it. So we've got 25 units of haze, which is, you know, that is indication of coarse wool on a coarse compound. So the finish we've put on this panel is not acceptable. The gloss is okay, 82. And all these results, they're going to vary. This number's going to change a little bit. No, not much, but it will vary. If we keep going, it will eventually vary. You know, yeah, it's not bad though. It's absolutely completely normal, okay? It's just a little bit of variance because it's just been roughly cut, but it's showing us that it's reasonably accurate. A little bit more haze there, gloss is consistent. This is just a little sanity check, yeah? Little sanity check. So there's a bad reading. So for some reason, there's something on that panel that's no good. So that would stick out like a sore thumb. Yeah, that's a completely normal reading, near 80 and 27. So we're doing okay with our readings. That's just a little sanity check. I've also, after I've cut that, I've wiped the polish and I'm using the Rupes panel wipe, and I've given that a panel wipe over there. So we've got a clean, polish-free panel, which is important. Let's just make sure what we're going to do here is clear off all of this data, delete all batches, just delete all the data off of this thing, okay? So that takes us back to N0, that's our counter reading. What we'll probably do is, I don't know, 10 would be a good 10 would be a good thing. We'll stay away from this big scratch here, and we'll stick into the middle, and we won't buff on those tape lines. In terms of polish, I was going to use the DA fine, but then it's not for Rotary, and someone would have gone mad saying, you know, whatever. And they might have been half right, although you could use that DA fine. We're going to use F5 Koch because it's for either machine. It's mid-range cut. An out-and-out finishing polish, if I use like S40 or something that's very fine, it would favour the test results as really, it wouldn't make much difference because it's so fine, it's going to hide any differences. If we used a really coarse cutting compound, there might be too much, and wool as well, there might be too much haze, but they're both hazy and they're both high readings. So I figure a mid-range product that I know it can deliver a final finish as well, but it's not an out-and-out finisher, with a little bit of cut. What I've also done is put 3 blobs on these Rupes yellow pads and just primed them so we're not introducing any unprimed pad into this equation, because that unprimed pad, I don't think it's a factor, but anyway, we're kind of working as we would, like this would effectively be our second set. Okay, in terms of what we're going to do on the panel, machine speeds would be relevant as well, but really with this rotary polisher, I think we're going to use it around 900 RPM. I mean, lots of people would put, lots of body shops would have it up in the high end. It'd be on one, they'd have one speed, and that would be the top speed. I'm tempted that we should run it at 1200, because that's somewhere in the middle, speed 3. But I know Yvan likes to run them very low, and so do I actually, because of him. But I don't know. We're running one machine right down on its lower power, speed 2, and you wouldn't run this at speed 2 because it would just stall. You'd want it at about speed 5. So we're running one at higher speed and running one at a lower. So what do you feel about that? I think really we should probably run this at about 1000 RPM. So does that, I haven't used this for a while. Yeah, it does give us the ability to go a little bit over 2. So we'll run roughly at 1000 RPM. So that removes anyone saying, well, you're just running that machine so slow, it's not really working the abrasive as hard. And then they'd be right. So I think that'd be a fair comparison, but there's so many variables, isn't there? Right, let's just, and what we'll do is we'll do 4 cross-hatch passes with me trying to keep the same arm speed, and you can see if I'm doing a good job or a bad job. Just 4 cross-hatch passes. You might not cross-hatch if you're using a rotary, but it's okay. It's harder to control it when you push the rotary up and down, yeah? So it's easier if you just go side to side and it's nice and smooth and just work nice and quick. That's what most people do, left, right over your area. Hologram the crap out of it. Then move on and do the rest over the whole of the car. But cross-hatching's not a problem. So, and we will just put a layer of our polish over the area as well, okay? So this is the rotary. And it's not important that I go right up to the edges. And what I'm going to do is I'll set the camera down over here on the wing of my car so you can see everything I'm doing. But it's a nice wide shot. And we'll get started. And I've got 2 clean polishing cloths there, okay? So I'm not going to put this on my shoulder. And this is not me demoing the correct technique to use a rotary, okay? So I'm just going to spread the polish. We'll put a little bit of pressure and just start now, okay? 50% overlap. I'm using a slight bit of pressure. Nice and smooth this actually. Forgot how nice this polisher was. Right. Done. We'll do the wipe off immediately. Sorry. This is interesting. I don't know what I'm going to get here with the results. I would guess there's not going to be much difference. But maybe Ivan's onto something. I think really it doesn't matter. Because if it was a problem, if dual action polishers couldn't finish out properly and they were not very good at finishing out, no one would use them. I think, you know, they can finish out absolutely fine. In fact, most times I find it easier to finish out with these. The problem with using this rotary is some of the things like Ivan said, the swirls, the buffer trails, you notice them later on, especially on the front bumpers, plastic parts. You can polish a wing with what feels like a sensible speed. You're not introducing heat and it's nice and easy. And you go and do the bumper and the bumper's got buffer trails on it because that speed was a bit too much for it and the plastic can't take the heat. But the main thing is they're just a bit harder to control. I know it's like a badge of honour. People love to say, I use the rotary. I don't know what the problem is. I get the skill. But they sling a bit more and they're harder to control. But they are lovely. They are lovely. You don't get all the vibration going through your hands. You don't get the machine going like crazy. But yeah, I think you can just take your time with the dual action a little bit and it's just a little bit more civilised. And there's a reason, there's just a rule of thumb. If everyone's using dual action polishers, there's a reason and it's not because they're all stupid. Okay, I like the forced rotation because the thing with the dual action polish, let's just put a nice fart on this pad, but it's fine. The thing with the dual action polisher is that no one tells you, is yes, it stalls, okay? And when it stalls, you're not really doing much work. You're doing a little bit, but you know, it's okay. It's going to stall every now and then, which is fine, but it can stall when you're trying to get into like the concave parts of a car. And then when you do your wipe down, especially on a really swirly car sometimes, where it's correcting really nice when you hit it, you see these channels of scratches that the DA hasn't got because it's stalled out in some valley or whatever, some curve. And they don't polish up to the edge as well because you get this lifting around the edge. So sometimes you spot these little patches that you miss. You don't get that with the forced rotation or less because of the polisher. So again, let me put this polisher down. But it's whatever you like, really, isn't it? It's whatever you like. And we're all going to have slightly different opinions on this. I love cordless, and I never thought I would. These cords are such a pain. I just love cordless. Oh, and I saw Ivan's polisher with the battery on top, and I think that's a really good idea. Ivan, if you're listening, put a set timer on it. Put a set timer on it before you go live. So you just set, say, 2 minutes. You can set it as a time. Then as you start up the tool, it does a countdown, and when it gets to the countdown, 2 minutes or whatever you set it to, it beeps or vibrates. Do that, you'll be a millionaire. Everyone will copy you. And just a thought, I wouldn't put the battery going in that way. I'd put the battery going in that way. It's just more ergonomic. Anyway, let's crack on with this. So again, I'll spread the polish. Same thing, guys, 4 passes. Don't worry about the cord. Trying to do the same hand speed. A little bit of pressure. But I was kind of doing a similar thing with the rotary. That's 1. Just easier to control this machine. That's 2. Come on. That's 3. Get a lot more vibration with these machines. That is 4. Okay, so not a radically different, can you see me? Not a radically different technique there, guys, or anything like that, is it? We've just done a similar bit of polishing, and now we'll take this one, which is clean, and we'll wipe off this polish. Comes off nice. We're not interested around the edges or anything like that. We'll take our readings down the middle just to make sure we're on a piece that's had good polishing. And I think, what do you reckon? 5 readings? Let's go with a bit more than 5, not 10, because that's going to be a pain in the arse. We'll go with 7. Let's go with 7 readings. Now what I want to do is just flip both of these cloths. We'll flip that one, we'll flip this one, and we'll just mist on some panel wipe. We'll just panel wipe over the main part of that panel, okay? Should be fine. Switch. We'll panel wipe over the main. It's a nice panel wipe, this Rupert stuff. It smells divine. Really important, actually. What I'll do is just go over to the dry side and just do that. And I'm going to do the same on the rotary side as well. It's the wet side. We'll go to the dry side and just make sure we've got a good finish. Okay. It's a moment of truth, you know. Out with the bad air, in with the good air. Yeah, set timer on your polisher. That would be awesome. Because I think we start polishing, we do a set, we do another one, and we speed up and all that sort of stuff. And we're not consistent. We change tools, and there's different dynamics, but something where we could lock our set time down. So what I'm going to do is just take, before we go, I'm just going to take a measurement, and we should be at 106 dot something on our calibration plate. Yeah, that's close enough. It's actually 100, calibration plate is 106.7. We just measured it at 107, so we'll clear all batches. So a .3, you could say there's a .3 error, or that could be condensation or whatever on the calibration plate. But that's within tolerance. Gives you an idea of error. There probably is going to be some error in this test. Let's go. Let's go. So we need to keep an eye out for false readings as well. We can delete any false reading. We've got a delete function, delete last reading function. We'll do 7 readings and we'll take the average 20 degree and average log haze and we'll look at the stats. Here we go. I like doing this. This is good fun. Right, so Jesus. Interesting actually. So the gloss is a lot higher than I thought it would be. The log haze is a bit higher than I thought it would be on there. Well, maybe he's onto something. Who knows? Good, we're getting consistent. So my polishing set was nice. I know what I'm doing. I'll probably get an inconsistent one now. No, it's all good. We're getting consistent readings so far. So we'll keep going up to 7 readings. What we want is consistency on these readings. And then we know we've got a really... Oh, what's that? So it's probably, for some reason, it couldn't take a reading then. That's unusual. You don't get that very often. Oh, okay. So what we're going to do is that's an invalid reading and it's told us. So we're going to go into our menu, delete last reading only. So we'll go back to n equals 3. So we were at n equals 4 and we'll read again. Don't know the reason for that. It's shining light up, it's measuring it. See, that's strange, isn't it? 0 log haze. There, I just want to delete that one as well. I didn't move the machine, did I? Just want to delete that because it's not consistent. So let's go again. That's bizarre. Why is the log haze gone on the bottom of that panel? Yeah, that's better. What's going on there? It might be just a patch for some reason where there's no log haze. I don't like that because that favours the dual action because it's going to drop the data. But I want to do a clear run of gloss where there's no weird readings because there should be some log haze. We've established that now, okay? So you're seeing everything here. Yeah, we should have log haze. I don't like that 0, 0 reading. So what I'm going to do, guys, is delete all batches. We'll go again and just hope that was there's a little patch on the panel maybe that for some reason is coming back as very shiny. It's not impossible to have 0 log haze. It's not impossible, but we can see it's not right. So there we go. Just carry on. So we just try and get 7 readings where they don't balls up. There we go. Come on. Somewhere in the middle there's this little spot that's going to balls it all up. No, so you can see me, I'm just going right a little bit. But I'm still in that sweet zone, aren't I? So yeah, we're good so far. N equals 4. Come on, we'll get up to n equals 7. Good. Come on, let's give us a good sweep. Yeah, we're getting less log haze down here though, which is a bit strange. But we'll go with it. No, that's better. Okay, so we've got 7 results. We've got 7 pieces of data there. Now what we're interested in, guys, is the averages. So let's get our pen. So if I go to the stat function over here, we want the mean average 20 degree gloss. So we've got 90. So right here, DA. We've got, or should we write it on the panel? Let's write it on the panel. So we've got average gloss. We'll write it over here so we can, no, Jesus, John, just write it. We'll write GU, which is gloss units, average 90.9. Which is nice, good. This panel is not amazing. And then we'll go to, if we press down, we get average log haze. So we want mean, 4.0. So we'll write haze, but it's log haze. So it's different standard, and log haze is slightly more accurate, I think, or better. It's more modern, I think, is the way it's described to me by Rotary, the makers of this fantastic machine, available in all good high street stores. This is an R&D machine that I'm very lucky to have. I've got some other cool stuff of theirs as well. So there's our data for the DA, okay? 90.4 and haze. Just before I wipe that data, let's stay over here a second and let's go to graphs. So you can see we're not interested in that blue one. We're interested in log haze there. Reasonably consistent, but one reading had a little dip. Rick, we're not interested in. Rick is like a orange peely thing. Where Where's the gloss readings? Oh, gloss is up. There's our 20 degrees. So we're interested in that blue line. We had a variance really of 89 through to just under 93 of gloss, which is, ideally they'd all be very similar, but it's not that unusual. And you can see our 60 degree gloss reading, it's less accurate. It's at different angle, it's shining the light. It's less accurate up here. It gives you higher readings, but it doesn't, look at the difference. So really, if you're measuring gloss above sort of 70 units, you want to use 20 degrees if you can. Yeah, because that is just, the 60 degrees is so inaccurate. Right, we'll go over here now. And we'll do all this live. Let's clear all the data. So we've got all we need. Boom. Okay, let's start taking some readings. Excuse the sniffing. That's okay, yeah, similar gloss, similar haze. That's a little bit less than some readings that we had with the DA. You know what? Slightly improved gloss. No, that's a bit more normal, but good on the haze. That's a more consistent thing, what we're up to 4. But so far we haven't had any dodgy readings, which is good. So we should be able to get a clean run. What are we at? N equals 5. Our log haze seems a bit, interestingly, our log haze was a bit hazier up here and a bit better down here. That's kind of where I had the polish laid out the most, so maybe it's just got a bit of that coarser compound, or maybe it's just the DA, differences between the DA and the Rotary, whereas this one is kind of better up the top, and as I go down it's getting a bit coarser. So we're on N equals 5. Let's do another one. I won't go too close to that bottom edge. Yeah, we'll just do another one up here somewhere. So this is the last one. I think these are going to be close, guys. Yeah, they're going to be close. So we've got 7 readings now. Let's go to our stat. Mean gloss, 91.9. So GU mean 91.9. And mean log haze, where is it? We go down. Mean log haze, 3.9. I'm telling you now. Well, it depends how you want to read this. From a simple perspective, Yvan wins because the gloss is higher and the log haze is lower, okay? But the difference between 90.9 and 91.9, was it 91.9? What's the average? No, it's 91.1. Jesus, it's a bit worrying if I can't even write. That ain't going to come off, that's not water based. So it's 99.1 there, which is 0.0. Basically, guys, there's no difference, okay? But, yes, they're higher, but there's no difference. So the reality is this test, all it's proven really is there is no difference when you're using the same pad, the same polish, using the Rotary at 1,000 RPMs and the dual action polisher. Whoa, that's going to be at about speed 5, so it's at about 5,500 or something OPMs. Using them with a technique where you do 4 passes, the data is so close that there is no difference. What can your eyes see? Your eyes will be able to detect a difference in gloss somewhere around, if there's a 10 GU difference in gloss, you'll start to be able to see it. Maybe if you're really good and you've got really good eyesight, you've got really good light, maybe less than 10, you might be able to spot a 5 GU difference with your eyes. Haze, a panel with 10 haze on it, you would know as a detailer that it's not an acceptable level of finish in good light. A panel with less than 5 on it, even a good detailer would struggle to know that that's an unacceptable level of haze. But you could probably spot the difference with around about 5 units of haze. Can you get haze down to 0? Yes, you can actually. What will be the deciding factor, in my opinion of doing this, it'll be the compound, it'll be the polish choice. Using a really fine finishing polish will get you close to 0 log haze if you're using foam. And I don't think it will matter if you're using finishing polishes and foam, whether you're using DA or rotary. But this is interesting because you can repeat the test and you can change variables. Like I say, if I did this with a long throw polisher and a more stiffer, coarser pad and a slightly more abrasive cutting polish, there might be more haze. If I used a different technique and put in a lot more pressure onto the pad, you might sort of, you might move the results around. The thing that I find interesting about all this, when the bloke, or the chap who commented about this, sorry, the bloke, the chap who made the comment, and Yvan replied saying, yes, it's true, you should try it out. When I first saw it, I thought, no, it doesn't make any difference. Then I started thinking about it and thinking, with sanding applications, when you're using orbital sanders on car paintwork, you don't want to use a long stroke, like a long throw. You don't want a long stroke when you're doing that sort of work. You want a small throw, like a 3mm throw. And I wonder if that's because with the extra orbit, it makes it too aggressive with that grit. And then it makes deeper sanding marks that are harder to then remove. So that orbit introduces more like scrub and drag of everything rather than just like the rotation. There's more drag. So maybe in theory, I kind of understand what Yvan's talking about. Maybe it is possible, but I've just never seen it. That's the thing. So put in the comments your opinion of what machine you think finishes down better. Does any of this really matter? The only time I sort of struggle with this is more with weird paint, aftermarket paint, and it can be hard to finish, and it's not always hazing for me. It's more machine marring when you're polishing, and like you think you've got it and you want to wipe down and see like a nice finish, and you wipe down, you see these tiny little bits of machine marring, and you think, oh Christ, and it can be a nightmare. That can be a nightmare, and sometimes you have to go in with a glaze or something with even less cut and a really soft like pad, like a really, really soft, brand new, fresh pad. Maybe even do what DIY say, mist a bit of water on it, try some things. Paintwork, the really soft aftermarket clear coat, can be a bit like trying to polish out those pillars where it's all soft and it's hard. But yeah, for me in layman's, this test, if you're using foam and you're using a mid-range product, a good quality abrasive, it shouldn't make any difference. And really, yes, in theory, you could say that's better, so therefore it's better. But honestly, the reality is that data is exactly the same. There's a calibration error of 0.3 on there, but there's a variance over the panel. You saw we did get some weird readings on that where it dropped it, but no, that's a good set of test results actually. But what it says is the data is identical, so it really, in this test, it didn't make any difference. So interesting video. We could do more stuff like that. I do think it's interesting. Yeah, I like all this kind of stuff. Everyone's got a slightly different opinion on it based on different experiences or seeing things and all that. So I'm definitely not saying Yvan's wrong, but I'm just saying with what we've done here and in most scenarios with foam, you're probably not going to be able to observe this difference. But maybe in certain circumstances, you might be using a DA and having a problem. Then maybe the option is to try and switch over, use the same pad and polish you're using with the DA, switch over to the rotary, go in at a nice low speed and see if it fixes the problem. Because in theory, there's something to the theory. There's less kind of dragging that whole pad around. The pad stays cooler with the rotary. If these pads ever start sticking on a dual action polisher, you'll melt them very quickly. If the polish isn't working and the lubricating, it's dry and gripping, you'll destroy pads on dual action polishers. You'll heat up the backing and stuff. That rarely happens on the rotary because it doesn't tend to stick. So maybe there's something in it. Who knows? Who knows? very interesting. What other variables are there? You know, machine speed, pressure, throw, pad type, polish, clear coat type. That's one thing we didn't talk about. You know, could it vary on gloss paints, which can be a bit fiddly? Will the clear coat hardness make a difference? Yeah, if it's really good quality hard clear coat, you tend to get less of that hazing anyway. This can become a problem on softer clear coats. So clear coat could be a variable. Clear coat thickness could be a variable. Temperature on the day could be a variable. Machining time can be a variable. How long you're on there for. Millions of variables. Millions of variables. Brilliant. Take care. See you soon, Doug.